Well, let me introduce to you my next guest. His name is Tony Nichols with Tony Nichols Lawn and Gardening, a guy for whom, a pickup truck is an important part of his business, important part of his life. So what a shock when it was stolen and eventually ended up on fire at the Cedar Hill Golf Course after it fled the rec center parking lot, collided with police cruisers. Let's find out what all of this was like to go through for the guy who owns the truck. Tony is on the line with us right now. How you doing, Tony?
I'm taking it a day at a time, Ryan.
I can imagine, because, if anybody getting their vehicle stolen and burned would be traumatic. But for you, this is not just your transportation. This is your business, right?
Correct.
Could you tell me what that day was like for you? How did it all unfold?
Well, I'll tell you. I had a good day. I mean, obviously, it's my high season, and at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I had an extra job to do near the church where this happened, so I went out in the early evening to do that. And then on the way back, I decided, because I look after a church, which I'm a member of, North Douglas Pentecostal. I stopped by there just to do a little bit of work that needed to be done, and then I was going to call it a long day. And so it was unfolding like so. And then I was doing my usual thing that I do. I've been working there for 10 years. On the landscape area. And, I turned around after doing a bit of blowing. My truck was within my sight, and I saw that it was moving. And I thought, what's going on here? And then I saw somebody in it from about a 50-foot distance, and I thought, they're parked. Somebody's playing a joke on me here. I'm going to park it in the parking spot down there. But he just went straight through the parking spot, over the boulevard and down the road, and I was like, my truck's getting stolen, I think. It didn't seem real, and I ran after it down the road on Jolly Place. I was quite distraught, and and I realized I've got no phone, I got no wallet either. Everything's in there, my equipment's in there. I can't believe this is happening, and I'm running down the road, very distraught. And some people at the complex heard me. And, obviously wondering what was going on, and offered to phone the police. And, it kind of unfolded from there. And then, the story goes that they pinned my phone that was in the vehicle. And they did finally, as you said, surround him at the Cedar Hill Rec Center, but he wasn't very cooperative and headed out through the golf course. And I thought, okay, great, we could have him, we'll surround it, but he chose to use my equipment and dump gas off it, I guess, and try and burn the evidence, which was, was what happened. And lo and behold, it was a towering inferno the next time I got a call that evening, which, was quite the shock.
Tony, we're really sorry for your loss. And I'm under the impression that there was more than just the truck that you lost here. Did you have gear on board?
Yeah, well, I had all this equipment. I had like 3 commercial mowers. I had my good stuff on there. So I lost, I had some equipment at home, but I lost, the majority of all my good equipment. So, sad to say.
What is something like that worth?
Well, I added up all the equipment. It was about $12,000 worth of equipment in the truck, and that went down up too, including my wallet and invoices and stuff, some checks with the customer. Yeah, it was it was not good. Yeah.
Well, are you able to get insurance to cover some of this stuff, or what happens next for you? I mean, I guess in the meantime you're stuck without your gear to do your work, but will you be able to replace it?
Well, a couple of things here. Being an older vehicle and stuff, I was, that I had, I was, my bad here. I didn't have the fire and theft. So that hurts. But my equipment, there was no real policy that fell on that. So, I'm not looking good for any of that. Now, on the upside, I had an older truck at home, a backup truck, I sort of call it, which was getting some work that I was able to put on the road. I'm limping around with that and some gear that I had. I rented some equipment that I needed for the time being, and a blessing has been put in place in that a GoFundMe was put in place by a part-time employee, and some customers have heard the story and been, very gracious, and have blessed me with the gifts. So that is such an answer to prayer. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, anybody who wants to find that, by the way, the GoFundMe is, I think, called Tony's Torched Truck. If you look that up on GoFundMe, and if you want to help out, that's where you can go. And sorry, I got one question for you, Tony, just because, again, your truck gets stolen, ends up burning along with your gear at the Cedar Hill Golf Course. But the suspect involved here, the person who did it, was arrested, was found a little later because he fled on foot and was apprehended. What are your thoughts towards this individual, and what do you hope happens to him?
Well, as I said on a previous interview, obviously I believe in justice, and there's consequences for your actions, but I do believe in forgiveness. Obviously I am a Christian myself, and I've received that, and I've went through some things in my life, made some poor decisions, and I've found grace, through my faith in Jesus Christ. So, my prayer is that he will be able to come to a place of, where he finds some peace with God, and get some help like I did, when I went through some difficult times. That, obviously I didn't do what he did, but, that's all I can say right now. I'm obviously going to pray for him that he comes to that place, but there's going to be some consequences, and I hope he learns from those. It's as they say, yes, that's kind of where I am with that.
Oh. The GoFundMe has raised just over $8,000 to date. What do you have to say to the people who've paid it forward for you?
Oh, I say God bless you and thank you so much. There's a blessing that comes with giving with a heart like that. So, I never expected that people would rise up so graciously, and I work for some great people, and there's some just very kind people out there that have heard this story and responded. So, yeah. Thank you.
Well, Tony, thanks so much for telling us the story from your side of things. What a bizarre thing that happened last week again when your truck with all your gardening stuff from your landscaping company got stolen, driven into the Cedar Hill golf course area, eventually onto the golf course where it was set on fire. The suspect arrested afterwards. But we hope you get through this okay. But thank you for telling us the story.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Ryan and Lisa. Yeah, thank you so much.